Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Dre Rollers. Well, I changed my mind about this coop right here. I wasn't going to breed any of these English short-faced bullheads because I have too many. And I decided that I am going to let them sit on their own eggs and let them hatch their own babies. And I'll have more for sale when I get to the Young Bird Show in Louisville. There will be plenty for sale then. And if anybody wants a couple of pairs of these right now, call me, hit me in the comments, leave me your phone number, and I will call you back. Or you can ask me for my phone number, and I will provide that. So over here we have nice clean loft. And these birds have got some hay on the ground right here. And they're gonna start building nests. Because these guys do make a nest. They sit on their eggs and they feed their babies. The only thing that they don't do is feed two babies like normal pigeons do, because their beaks are small and some of them can't do that. Or they will give it a try. Some of them will feed the baby all the way up. The only thing that you gotta do is get very small grains, almost like pigeon candy, if you want them to raise their own young ones. Because if you give these guys peas, they don't eat no corn, but if you give them a mixed feed that has a lot of safflower, sunflower chips, Milo, rapeseed, hemp seed, all those canary seed, finch food, all that stuff mixed up. And I also give them a very small pellets that is called Dr. Poe's Poultry Pearls. And these poultry pearls are very small, and these guys can eat that. And those poultry pearls is 26% protein. So that's why these guys are all healthy looking, and they bouncy, and they shit nice and dry because of the way I take care of them. You know what I'm saying? Clean the loft every so often. It's not all shit it all up. So these guys are doing very good in here. And I say within the next 3 or 4 days, all these boxes will be full of eggs. Because these guys were eager to breed. They just didn't have no nest boxes. They didn't have no nesting bowls, I mean. I didn't put any nesting bowls for them to breed because I wasn't planning on breeding because I got too many. And only in this session, you see there's a couple of cream bars on the ground. Look, there's one there, and there's one right there. So these are all barbers, by the way. They're all barbers. Just maybe 1 or 2, let me see, maybe about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 solid reds, and the rest are all barbers. We have here, let me call out the barbers for you so that you can know what I'm talking about. We got blue bar, red bar, brown bar, blue bar, and cream bar. The cream bar is the Isabella ones. Like that one down there, that's a cream bar. So we have all these barbers. And then I also have another session right here at Dre's Rollers Loft that all I have breeding there is all cream bars. So let's go take a look at them, at the cream bars. I have babies already of those. Inside this loft right here, we have a bunch of cream bars. Yellows and yellow bars. Look, up there, there's a pair. Let's see if we can get up close up there. There's a pair of bars up there, yellow bars. There's another yellow bar right there. There's another pair right there in the corner. It's a red cap. See, look. Red bar made it on the cream bar. We have a cream bar right there, and a red bar right there. And the English long face is sitting on eggs. See? There's a pair there, that white one with a cream bar. There's a cream bar right there in the corner. She's sitting on eggs. I let them sit on eggs for about a week because I want them to feel that you don't just lay eggs and then I take the eggs away. They never get a chance to sit on their own eggs. I like them to sit on their own eggs. That way they can go into the cycle better. So because it's better. I know for sure it is better that when you let them sit on their own eggs for a while, and then after you take away the eggs and you put them to their foster parents, they go right back to nesting really fast. As opposed that when they lay eggs and you don't give them a chance to sit on, that takes them a little longer because now they gotta work themselves back into the cycle. But when they get off the eggs, immediately they want to go back on the eggs again, so they'll go back on the cycle, and then the hen will become receptive to the cock, and they'll start mating and having eggs in no time. So this loft is so dry. Look at that. I don't even have to clean it if I don't want. It's very dry. And all these small ball heads like that one, they all made it to each other, and the English have made it to each other, so there's nothing crossing in there. That's a promise. I don't play that. So let's go look at the English short-faced ballheads and see how they're doing. Now that I'm giving them all this hay. Oh yeah. They're liking it. Gives them something to do. Very nice. Look, that one has one. That one has a straw in his mouth. That's a hen. So now they're going to carry sticks. Look. They're going to carry twigs. That one's got a twig in her mouth, or his mouth. So they're going to build these nests. And that's going to be great. Look at that. Everybody's having fun, which is what I like them to have. And then once they make all the nests, then I'll just rake up the rest of the hay up and put it to the next coop. I'll slide it out. I don't throw it out. I'll just give it to somebody who needs it. Because these birds, even this side over there, the English short-faced tumblers, themselves, those guys, they don't really make the nest that much. I noticed that the ballheads are much better at making the nest than they are. So they're looking over here like they want some too. See, look. So I'll throw some straws in there, and what I usually do, I usually take a handful of straw and I throw it on top of the nesting bowl. That way they can mold it themselves. So these birds are very happy with their nest making. And now you'll see who's a pair and who's not a pair. Well, there are a lot of pairs in here because they were counted even. Even hens, even cocks. Some of these birds in here need for me to trim their beaks. Yesterday I was able to trim these guys' beaks in there. The English short-faced tumblers. I trimmed their beaks yesterday. I went in there with a pair of clippers, nail clippers, and a nail file. And I trimmed up all the beaks of everybody that looked like the beaks were too long or getting curvy or twisted. So sometimes these beaks could go out of, these beaks need to be trimmed. If you don't know how to do that, you could injure them badly because you can cut too much off of the beak and hit the vein, and then they will bleed out, and before you know it, they'll have a big blood stain on the middle of the chest from blood dripping down their breast. And that's not cool. So you gotta be very careful on how you trim beaks. There's a thing that I used to have years ago. It's called stop bleed. It was a purple powder that when you cut a bird's beak and they start bleeding from the tip of the beak, you put the powder in the palm of your hand and you smear their beaks into your palm, and before you know it, the blood will stop dripping off their beaks. And that's all. I used to use that when I used to have my store. I used to have a bird shop, and it was called Paradise Bird Shop. And at that store, I used to trim beaks and toenails of parrots. And parrots are notorious for bleeding out their toenails, because the vein on the parrot's toenails is really not that far away from. I mean, it's very close to the end of the nail. So when you're trimming the nail, by any little means, you're making it bleed. So I used to have this stop bleeding powder. I think it was called Stop Bleed, and that works. But I haven't seen that in a long time. I haven't had it in a long time. So another way to stop the bleeding is if you have ashes, you put some ashes on the wound, and the ashes will stop the bleed a little bit. Not better than the Stop Bleed, but the Stop Bleed is formulated for that reason. And the best thing to do, if you don't know how to trim beaks, is to get a very good nail file and file the beak down. So that way, as you're filing, you could see what you're doing more than as opposed to just taking a chunk of his beak, and now the bird is bleeding all over the place. So, and there's another way to stop that bleed too. I think you got to take a hot iron and smear it right across where the wound is on the beak. I heard something like that. Don't take me for for certain about that, because I never did it. I only know what I do and what I done. But I heard somebody told me that we take maybe like a hot piece of a spoon or a kitchen knife, and you put it on the stove and you burn it up and you make it very hot. And once the beak is still, you smear that hot metal right over where the wound is, that's supposed to, there's a word, I think it's called cauterizing or something like that. I'm not sure what that word is, but I never done this, like I said. So I'm not going to recommend it. I will recommend that if you don't know how to trim the beak, use a nail file, a sandpaper type. That's the kind I use. That's the kind I use when I go to the bird shows. When I'm at the bird shows, I don't trim beaks with my nail clipper, because if you're making them bleed while you're at a show, that bird immediately becomes not a candidate for showing. Because if it starts bleeding, there's no way you can stop that blood from dripping down his throat and from messing his beak up. And especially these birds that they have to show that they're immaculately clean. You know, you're not bringing a bird to a show that has some blood stain on his breast or dripping, or you can't show a bird that's wounded on the beak. That's not going to work. The judge is going to throw that bird down. He's going to put him down in the box and disqualify it. And that's your fault for that. Because I'm an exhibitor, and I never had a pigeon disqualified for that kind of reason. Another thing too that gets pigeons disqualified from the show bench is poor grooming. Poor grooming. You might want to say, what the hell is a poor grooming? And poor grooming is that you didn't take care of the bird before you got there. These birds got to get groomed. You got to take unnecessary feathers out of the way. Like for example, the helmets, they're not supposed to have a mustache. The dark part of the head gotta end at the eye. Just like these bowheads, they're not supposed to have a very long beard, or the cut cannot be too far below, because there's just no way you can fix that. So you gotta have a nice cut. And if there's a little feather sticking out, then that little feather that's blocking the cut or coming out of the cut, you pull it out with tweezers or whatever you got to do to make sure that you define that cut, and that cut is going to look nice. I'm going to show you what the cut is, what I'm talking about. Let's see if we find one that has a really nice cut as opposed to some that need. Okay, look, this one right there, that brown bar right there, see, she has a little tiny little speck on her head. right there, that one. Well, then you'll pull that out. And once you pull that out, now that bird becomes groomed and clean. So that's what I mean. Like even, you see this red bar right there? He has a couple of spots on the head. That's because these birds are not groomed. I don't groom in the summertime. I only groom during the show season. So I could take a lot of these bullheads and make their heads look spotless, pure white, by taking away stuff that doesn't belong there. I can clean up this red bar right here, right there, that one with the spots on the head. Those are, some people call those ticks. Not literally ticks as a crawling tick, but a tick as a stain on the feather. I can pull those little feathers out, and before you know it, he'll have a complete white head. And he will grow it back again too during the time that he's not at the show. Especially during the summertime, they'll grow that back. So the grooming is very important when you show birds. Like this guy here, look, that red bar right there needs his beak trimmed. Let me see, he's grooming himself right now. So wait till he turns his face. Hey, turn your face. Now listen to me. Okay, see the beak? That beak needs to be trimmed. That beak is way too long. There's an excess amount sticking out that needs to be trimmed. And that's normal with short faces. Short face pigeons are not bred to having the beak crooked all over the place. They're bred to have nice beaks. And the beak of these birds is called a finch beak. These birds, the standard of the birds, the English short-faced tumbler breed, the standard calls for them to have a finch-like beak. And a lot of people over-trim the beak and box up the beak, and that's a disqualification. Because now the beak is not up to the standard. And some standards don't play around. If the beak is to be box shaped, then you have to leave it as a box shape. Or, for example, the helmets, the beak on the helmet is not a finch beak, and it's not so boxy, but it has to be pointy and defined. Otherwise, you will lose points on the beak or probably disqualified. So very important to trim beaks when you're reaching the show season. That way, by the time the show comes, you don't got to worry about if the bird bleeds a little bit. Or I usually start trimming beaks 2 months before the show. The ones that I am going to show, that way you could train that beak. You could file that beak into shape and make it look the way it's supposed to. I've seen English short-faced tumblers that the beaks look almost like that of an ancient pigeon. An ancient short-faced tumbler has more like a little box beak. And I've seen people trim up the beaks of the English short-faced tumblers almost into the shape of an ancient's beak. And that's a disqualification. I learned that from my judge and president of our club, Mike Seiler. Mike Seiler told me one time that when you start showing English short-faced tumblers, you have to pay attention to the beak. You have to, because otherwise the bird is not a great show bird. Even though if the bird has everything that the standard is asking for, all the points everywhere, and the beak is not defined, then the bird is not a show bird. Even though he has all those other qualities, there's one demerit on the beak can cost you a show. And we're not looking to do that. So there you go, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. I just talked about beak trimming and grooming, and I hope you guys had a lot of fun listening to that. And for all you guys that didn't know about this specialty pigeon that requires all this grooming and all this stuff, that ain't nothing compared to how difficult these birds are to breed when you don't know how to breed them. On my next video, we're going to talk about the complexity of breeding short-faced pigeons. A lot of people call me and ask me how do I get so many pigeons like this when they don't know how to do it? And I will have to say that it was trial and error for me. So on my next video, we're going to talk about breeding short-faced pigeons, and in particularly, we're gonna point out the English short-faced tumbler pigeons. We're gonna work with that. We're gonna talk about them. We're gonna talk about mating. First of all, we're gonna talk about pairing. The pairing is very important, and also we're gonna talk about the hatching of eggs and what you do when you don't have substitute parents to feed those babies. It sounds like you are in a pickle, and if you think you are, I agree with you. You will be in a pickle when you don't know what you're doing. But once you know what you're doing, it's easy as breeding any other bird. All right. And with that said, I hope you like this video. Subscribe to my channel, like and comment and share, and all those good things. And smash that bell too. See ya.